What's going on, traders? Welcome to my office and welcome to my channel. This is Trading Test Lab, where we test YouTube trade strategies to see if they are as profitable as they claim. Today we are testing a strategy called 98% high accuracy EMA momentum trading forex and stock high accuracy moving average indicator. And this strategy is by Trader DNA. This gentleman has tons of strategies on his channel, so definitely check him out. Now, after watching this video, I gotta say, I think this is gonna be another simple, great, effective strategy and probably a pretty profitable one. This is a very simple and beginner-friendly trading strategy. This strategy uses an indicator called the momentum indicator. I've never used that indicator before, and how he uses it in this strategy is pretty interesting. So I'm looking forward to testing this one out, and hopefully we'll get some good results with it. Now let's go over the strategy process and rules with some examples. And just a side note, I am going to make a couple minor tweaks to the rules that he has, and I'll go over that as I go over the strategy. This strategy utilizes 4 indicators, but it's 2 and 2 of the same indicators. So you have the EMAs, then you also utilize the momentum indicator. I've never used the momentum indicator before, and it's pretty interesting how it's used in this strategy. For the EMAs, you have the 10 EMA, and that is this pink line here. And then you have the 34 EMA, and this is the white line. And then the momentum indicators are the same EMA settings. So this pink one is going to be the 10, and this white one is going to be the 34. So they kind of just mirror each other with the color. And you're going to notice that the 10 and the 34 are pretty short-term EMAs. So this strategy obviously tries to capitalize on short-term trends. So let's go over the rules of a sell setup and an example right here. So step 1, 10 EMA is below the 34 EMA. That means we're clear for sells. So right here, we're going to be looking for sells. Step 2, the 34 momentum indicator should be below the 0 line. And also for the 10 momentum indicator should also be below as well at this point in time. So this yellow line here is the 0 line. You identify that the price is below it for both the 10 and the 34. Step 3, we'll wait for price to retrace back to or around the 34 EMA. So we get this push, now we're retracing back. Step 4, so when this retracement starts to happen, what we want to see on the 10 momentum indicator is price to cross above the 0 line. So that's what we need to identify. When we get this retracement, we look at the 10 momentum indicator and it should cross above. We get the cross above and then it crosses back over it. This signals the trend continuation. So we'll get this cross above and then we cross back below, and that will signal our short entry. When we get this cross here, we'll enter on the market order. Stop loss, he says in the video to do either above the 34 EMA or above the swing point. And in the video, he leaves the target open, but in this backtest session, I'm going to go for 2 to 1. And this right here pretty much summarizes the breakdown of this strategy. So it's a trend following strategy. You wait for a push phase, an exhaustion, a retracement, and then a continuation. And we try to catch continuations with these indicators in this whole setup. A couple key points from this strategy. During a sell setup, price line on the 34 momentum indicator should never go above the 0 line during the trade setup. So as this trade is playing out and we're trying to identify this trade and starting to set up, the price line on the 34 momentum indicator should never go above the 0 line. If that happens, then the trade is invalid. Another key takeaway is during a sell setup, price should not violate above the 34 EMA. So if price was ever to cross above the 34 EMA, then this trade is invalid. And this is what I'm going to tweak in this strategy. Since this is such a small EMA to use at 34 EMA, I foresee that there's going to be a lot of occasions where we're trending down, and then when we get this retracement here, you're going to have price sometimes go above the EMA. Downtrend will still be intact. It'll do this, and then it'll cross back below, and it'll do this. It'll go above the 34 EMA, but the downtrend will still be intact. So I foresee that happening. And if that happens, so what I'm going to do in this strategy and the way I'm going to test it is, for me, it's going to be okay if the candles go past the 34 EMA, but it needs to obviously close back below it and close below the 10 EMA. And then if all these other conditions are met in this strategy, then we will still take the trade. This is the tweak I'm going to make. Price is allowed to cross the 34 EMA for a short period of time. If it crosses back over, all the other conditions are met, I'm still going to take the trade. So this is a sell setup. Now let's look at a buy. All right, here's going to be a buy example. We'll go over this one quick, as it's just the inverse of a sell. Step 1, the 10 EMA is above the 34 EMA. So right here, we notice that the 10 is above and we're sloping upwards. So we're in a short-term uptrend. Step 2, identify that the 34 momentum indicator is above the 0 line. Here we go, we're above it. Step 3, we wait for price to retrace back to or near the 34 EMA. Step 4, on this retracement, we want to see on the 10 momentum indicator for price line to cross below the 0 line and then cross back above, signaling a continuation. When we get this cross back above, we can look for a long entry, stop loss below the swing or below the 34 EMA. I'm targeting a 2-to-1, and there you go. This is a buy setup. Now that we understand the rules of this strategy, we could start the backtest session. As always, I'm going to backtest on the Nasdaq, New York session only, after 6:35 a.m. Rather than doing 1 quarter of backtesting, we're going to do 6 months. So we're going to do the first half of 2024. We'll do the first 3 to 5 examples live on the backtest session. And I'm going to fast forward to the rest. And then as always, we'll go over the results at the end. Okay, session is live. Here we go. New York session, 1 trade per day. Starting January, it's going to be, let's do a New York session. Okay, January 2nd. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to be looking for sells at this moment. I'm watching the momentum indicators right now. We're going to look for a retracement. We want the 10 momentum indicator to cross back above the 0 line, then cross back below. Then we could look to get in short. Okay, we got a cross. Price is approaching 34 EMA. See if we get a cross back below. Boom, there you go. So we have the EMAs, how we want them. 34 EMA still below. We get the cross on the 10 EMA and cross back below. So now we can look to get short position, close of this candle above the swing. Go for a 2-to-1. Yeah, that's safe. Okay. So this is our first trade of this session. Go. First trade taking a long time, but it was a TP. Wow. Got very close to hitting stop loss. First trade is TP. Let's mark this down. Okay. That one is logged. Let's go to the next one. 5. Go. Okay, gonna be looking for sells again. Looks like we are still below on the 10 or the 34. We're tracing back to the 34 EMA. Cross back above the 10, so we could start getting ready to look for a sell if this crosses back below. Okay, got a cross. Short position. Above structure. Go for a 2-to-1. Slightly closer to keep action. Good. My trade or 2. There's a loss on this trade. So first trade win, second trade loss. Let's go to next New York session. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's start. Okay, looks like we're going to be looking for buys in this moment. Okay, so we're almost clear for buys. We just need to cross back over on the 10 momentum indicator or above on the 34. Price has retraced back to the 34 EMA. So if we get a cross back above, we could take a buy. Okay, we've got a cross. We're in position. Stop loss below 2-to-1. Trade number 3. We'll probably do one more after this, and then we will just fast forward through the rest. There you go, TP. So this one is a buy and a win. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, looking for buys. Okay, so we got the dip below. We just need a cross. Got a cross. One position. This will be the last one we do live, and then we're going to fast forward the rest. Then go over the results. And there you go, TP. So out of 4 trades thus far, we got 3 TPs, 1 loss. It's going to be a pretty effective strategy for catching trends. So yeah, that's how the strategy goes. We're going to fast forward the rest, and then we'll go over the results. But so far, so good. Okay, here's the results of the backtest session. And before I go to the master tab, I want to quickly go over this month here, which is March. And if you saw these stats, you would think this strategy is horrible and this strategy sucks, right? Look, you had loss, 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 win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, 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 win, win, loss, win, loss. So we had 21 trades, 14 losses, 7 wins. Then there was a stretch out of 16 trades. We only won 4 times. So you would see this and you would be thinking, man, this strategy is pretty trash, right? Well, even with these stats, 7 wins, 14 losses, look, we're barely down, not even 1%, because the risk reward ratio we had on this strategy we used was 2. So it's a good risk reward ratio. And even with this horrible month, it's not that bad percentage wise. But now let's look at the master sets. And then take a look at January. Look at this month. When we started this backtest session, holy moly, this strategy was performing so well. I was really impressed. We had a few winning streaks, not that many losses. So we had 19 trades, 12 wins, 7 losses, 63% win rate, 18% gain. January was crazy good for this strategy. And then you go to February, and then it kind of tapers off to what you kind of expect in a trading strategy. Like if you could have 3-4% gain per month, that's awesome. That's amazing. I would take that every month if I could. So we had 17 trades, 7 wins, 10 losses, decent stats, 41% win rate, 3.8% gain, had a few winning streaks, 3% drawdown. And then March was the month that was complete trash, basically. And that's the thing about trading, right? I was talking to someone in the comments, and we were talking about the strategy I trade, and I mentioned it's not the greatest strategy. It kind of has stats like this, where I'll have months that are just, 2% gain, 1% gain. Then you have months that are good, 10% gain. Then you have months that are crazy, just outliers, 18% gains. And then sometimes I have months where I'll lose money. There's at least 2 months out of the year where I'm negative. I'll have a -2 or a -5. It's just part of the business. Not every month is going to be a good month. And another thing, look, on the month that we lost money, we had the most trades. So imagine going 21 trades in a month, taking trade after trade, and you're losing money. It kind of deflates you, but you got to look at the bigger picture. Most people, they would have this month of March, and then they would switch strategies and they would hop to something else, but you just got to stick to it. You got to ride out these drawdown periods. That's what's going to make you a profitable trader. So you had this month, and then April, we start to get back into a rhythm. Started off the month pretty bad, 4% drawdown, then had a couple of win-losses, another 4% drawdown. So this month wasn't that good either. We had 19 trades, 8 wins, 11 losses. That's pretty good. For a 2RR system, that is pretty good, almost 5% gain. And then May, 50%, we had 20 trades, 10 wins, 10 losses, 10% gain. And then June, 16 trades, 8 wins, 8 losses, 50%, 8% gain. So after this crazy beginning, we had a really good start. Then we had a bad March. We kind of just settled in and had some pretty good returns. 45% gain, and this is risking 1%. Imagine if you risked 2%. That's pretty insane. This is something I would actually implement into my trading. Like, you don't need to implement this whole strategy, but if you want to have pinpoint entries, use this system. Use the momentum indicators, use the EMAs. You can get some really tight entries and some really good risk-reward ratio trades. So yeah, good strategy. If you're going to implement it, understand you're going to have months where it's not always going to work. You're going to have months where you're going to lose money, but you got to control your emotions and you got to stick to it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and I'll see you on the next one. I honestly think the next one might just be this again, but on the 5-minute time frame, but I'm not quite sure yet. So we'll see you in the next one.